All right, Michigan Wolverines. And I already know what this is going to turn into, D-Mac. You know it. You sit there. You know what's going on. I know. The Michigan Wolverines are plus 120 to make the college football playoff. So a slight underdog to make the college football playoff. Yeah. Caesars has them at plus 120. I want to ask the question to the Michigan fans. Do you expect to make the playoff this year?
Yes.
Do you demand to make the playoff this year?
I would say yes.
So, okay, that means no.
No, I would
say yes. The conviction in your answer.
No. I don't think that means no. If they miss the playoff, it's not the end of the world. But do I expect them to? Yes.
Okay. Young Justin, you're a Michigan slappy, except when you go to Western Michigan, except when you have a Western Michigan hoodie on, but then you talk about Michigan. But all that aside, do you expect them to make the playoff?
I wouldn't say expect, because if I say expect, I'd want to say that with 100% certainty, I know they're going to make the playoff. I do believe they're going to make the playoff, even if they go 9-3 and lose all of their big games.
That's all they need.
They're
going to be the first one in. If everybody's 9-3, Michigan will be the first one in.
100%. And I just, the path, like we always talk about it, the path is there for Michigan, even to have
and it's fairly easy.
Mediocre season at 9-3, losing all their big games and still make the playoff.
So, D-Mac, I go to you and I ask you this question because I got murdered by Michigan fans for this. They said I was moving the goalpost and all that kind of stuff. I think it is a necessity for them to make the playoff, just in terms of if you want to keep that status and that stature of, you know, leaders and best and the best college football program, you have to make the playoff this year.
Because it's gone to 12. We're not talking about the 4, and we're not talking if we were talking about the 4 playoff system. Like it used to be, you could say, okay, with all the changes and the fact that you do not have a legitimate quarterback or somebody who is your number one, right? That's still questionable. Then it wouldn't be. But for dominance in a 12 playoff system, to be in the conversation with where you've entered and all of the teams that won in dominance, so yes, it won't help your narrative. But going back to back and having more of a trying season and not, I guess, having it set up for you, but having to do it the hard way gives you more credibility of not doing it, I guess.
Because I do believe it is set up for them anyway.
Okay.
Because 9-3 gets them in.
So the question that you're posing is to stay in the upper echelons of the Alabamas, the Georgias, like to be talked about as the leaders and the best, then you have to make the playoffs.
Have to.
There's 12 teams. I agree with that. It hinders the conversation of saying then it was only then you're more like Ohio State and you know you get in there or Auburn or you know these teams that have done it, but you can't consistently stay there. So I mean it's just whatever narrative you want to pose, but to your point, if you want to stay in those conversations as the leaders and the best, you got to make playoffs.
Who farted? Michigan will beat all those teams, and we'll only hear, but they haven't beaten anybody on the road. They don't have to beat anybody on the road.
This year's, I think it's
this year's schedule.
Fair to say this is new? This year, how it plays out with the schedules, with the Pac-12 coming, there's a whole nuance here. So for us to sit here and go, this is the way that it got to be and should be. Aren't we using how we judged from the old information or the way the system used to be? We got to sort of let it play out, right? Because the fact is the key is 9 wins. If you're talking about Michigan, and then you're in the playoffs, and
that's
matter.
it. And that's where, for me, like KG, and I'm going to get killed for this, but I want you to think about this.
Okay.
The schedule this year, while everybody talks about how hard it is, in reality and in terms of making the playoffs, it's the same as last year. All they have to do is win every game that they're a favorite in.
Yeah.
That's all they don't have to beat anybody. Because Washington, like, I know that we're going to get caught up in the Washington thing. It's not a thing. They rebooted everything.
Yeah, I'm not.
They're basically back to Washington that lost to Montana State.
Right. I'm not worried about
or Montana at home. That's what they're back to being right now. They are an also-ran. It is over. Right. They lost their coach. They didn't step up and keep their coach.
You know what the 3 games are. We all know what the 3 games are.
But even then, I'll give you a loss in all those games. Lose to Ohio State, Oregon, and Texas, you're still in. Because who's going to beat Michigan? For real. Are they going to lose to Fresno, Arkansas State?
No.
USC?
No.
Minnesota?
No.
Washington?
No.
Illinois?
No.
Michigan State?
No.
Indiana?
No.
Northwestern?
No.
They're in.
Yeah.
Like, it is the exact same thing as last year. It's even easier because they don't have to beat Ohio State. It's the same.
Fair enough.
So
Yeah.
that's why, like, I am,
But-
and this isn't narrative,
but-
and this isn't anti-Michigan. If they don't make the playoffs, KG, that's a bad look.
In year one of Sharon Moore, I don't think it's the worst. Yes, it wouldn't be the best look, but I don't think it's the worst thing ever. Now, if it were to be back-to-back years of not making the playoffs, then I'm worried. But as of right now, first year new head coach, I'm not worried about that.
So it doesn't matter to you if they make the playoffs. That's what you're saying. Because I still contend this.
I'm just saying it's not the end of the
in
world.
order
That's
for
all
you
I'm
to
saying.
be among the elite and not Auburn, not a flash in
Yeah.
the pan. You know what I'm saying? I got
True,
murdered
but
by
they're
shows
not-
on this network.
I'm
for
just saying they're
suggesting
not
that.
going to turn into Auburn if they don't make the playoffs this particular
You're on
season.
the road to being Auburn now.
That's
12
fine.
teams get in, man.
That's fine,
It's
Neil.
fine. You
Yes.
are on the road, but you're not. You'd have to be way more.
Yeah, they don't get a huge demotion if they don't make
There's
the
enough
playoff
narrative
this
to
year.
the coaching change, to the roster, to this and that, to explain to what Kenny just said is that it's not the end of the world if they don't. Will it fault their progress or of being leaders? No, but
Yeah.
they still can regain that momentum to get back up.
Exactly. Like if they were to miss it this year, but make it in 2025,
and get back
I'm
on
cool.
track, but it took that year to
Yeah,
figure it out
yeah.
and stuff with the no.
But with
then
2
they're
years of
fine.
recruiting, then I would agree with you. After 2 years of recruiting and
But in
stuff of that
saying
nature,
that, you have to give them credit that if they do face this adversity and continue on the path and win a playoff game and whatever, that it's further along than maybe.
Yeah, then they're
they
on the
would get
road to
credit.
Georgia. Perhaps.
that-
the Georgia,
that's what
the
I'm saying,
Alabama,
right.
stuff like that.
Right, so-
and remember, too, like, just because you beat Alabama once doesn't mean you are Alabama.
clearly.
Clearly. You know, and we're in agreement.
No,
on
but
that.
we're
Yeah.
driving those places, right? I
Right.
think it's where does the bus turn, right towards like you
Yeah.
said, and you.
That's why I think it's huge this year.
Well,
Yeah.
it is huge to continue down, and we use analogies of the freeway to the Georgia Alabama's right way instead of veering off to Auburn's or
Yeah.
even LSU's.
I just don't think we're
Clemson's.
completely out of it if we miss the playoff
you
this year.
have a
this
grace.
particular season.
You have grace. If you had Harbaugh back and you had a quarterback and you had no, this is a transitional.
Right,
You
right.
did everything you needed to do to get the championship.
Right.
Right now, in the grace of things, you just
That's
have to
what I'm
pull
saying.
over for a while.
Yeah, like the playoff.
Then the imperativeness for 2 years from now, when we're sitting here having a conversation, is no, they have to win. They have to win a playoff game or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the playoff, I think, has become the new bowl eligibility.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like there's a line, right? It doesn't matter if you're back in the old bowl system. It doesn't matter if you're 8-4 or 6-6. For real, what difference does it make?
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't make any difference whether you're playing in, the Holiday Bowl or you're playing in the Emerald Bowl.
Right.
Like there is no difference. You're in, and that's all that matters. And that's where I went back and forth with Spenny about where, when the wheels came off for Michigan State, it was imperative to make a bowl for perception's sake.
Right, right.
And that's why I think for Michigan, this season is huge for perception's sake. And like, see, like people are going down. People are going down this road right now. Like Merck says, Crying Ryan will not beat Michigan. He hasn't won yet, nor will he this year. He can't coach against Michigan. Merck, you don't even have to beat Ohio State. You don't have to. If you go 9-3, you lose every big game. It doesn't. You're Michigan. You're still going to get in.
Yeah.
Because young Justin and I were talking about that. He gave me a pool of 9-3 teams. He's like, who goes? But this is why those teams in this new playoff era, which everyone knew was happening, you can tell by everyone's schedules that they set.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the beauty of this. What's underlying and all that. You don't have to win those games. You just have to play them. That's it. Because you're going to get credit for playing them
I get you.
at a baseline.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's absolutely brilliant. And that's why teams like Missouri and the Kansas States, that's why they're not going to, they can be 10-2 and Michigan can be 9-3, and they're not going.
Yeah.
They're not. Like, it's the way that it is.
And they proved it last year. Like, straight up. You want a recent example? They did it with Florida State and Alabama last year. Like, they knew that Florida State wasn't a good product without Jordan Travis. They knew that Alabama is the premier brand in college football. And they were like, okay, screw you, Florida State. We're going to go for the team with the bigger TV deal, the bigger numbers. Yeah. And we're going to watch an absolutely epic showdown between Michigan and Alabama in the Rose Bowl and make it as historic as possible. If you sit here and try to tell me that Michigan versus Florida State would be even remotely a more premier, or even close to how premier that matchup between Michigan and Alabama was, you're crazy.
No, that 1,000,000%. Let's go Rebbing Sparty. Not making the playoff means you're number 13 or worse in the nation. I can't imagine Michigan fans being okay with being 13 or worse. Well, I mean, one here in the building said it's fine. You said it.
Yeah.
Which I can't take you seriously as a powerhouse. And this is where we've always
all I'm
been.
saying is we can't go to Auburn status after 1 year.
No, you can't, but you can get on the highway to it.
Sure. I agree with you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, especially now,
like if
when
they don't make the
up.
playoff this year, I don't want you. I don't want to hear you talking about they Auburn. I don't want to hear.
No, but I will say you're on the highway to being that.
Sure.
You've taken the first step towards being that.
That would be fair.
Especially now that it's easier.
Yeah, that would be fair.
You don't have to win a hard game to make it. You can't.
Yeah, but Kenny's telling me that he's not sure right now of
he sounds a little scared.
No, but they should. I mean, I'm looking at the Michigan program, and there's questions.
I just said I do think they would make the playoffs.
You got to see. So he's not.
I called him to go 10-2.
Yeah, but you're not setting right. But you're not setting yourself up for like you're being realistic.
But
I hear
when
reality.
you win a natty, you get a grace period, especially when you get a new coach after a natty.
Amen.
When you have 17 players go to the league,
that's
all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
To your point, elite programs overcome that. They keep rolling. They find a way how to keep rolling.
Exactly.
Let's see what this.
Which is why in 2025, after back-to-back no playoff appearances as a Michigan fan, then I'm worried. But this year, it's a wash. It is what it is. I do expect them to make it, but I'm not tripping if they don't.
I don't know. I've kind of flipped my switch. I'd be a little upset because, honestly, looking at the season, as long as Michigan doesn't trip on their own dick, they should be 9-3, and they should be in the playoff. They're the defending national champions as well. That will play a factor in terms of the playoff committee. The playoff committee is going to want to have the reigning national champion in just for the
100,000,000%. 100,000,000%. Don't trip on your dick. That's what it is.
Danny G says, I'm okay with it. We lost a ton of talent and don't have a ton returning. I saw in mock drafts you have 2 of the top 5 picks in the NFL draft.
Yes, we do.
But 3 of the top 20.
3 of the top 20. That's no excuse.
4 first-round picks.
Like, come on, what are we talking about here, man?
I literally do not know. I like I said, I've been on this wave for the last couple of weeks. I just can't get down with a lot of Michigan fans. They just are unreasonable.
That's my only point. Like, I'm not even talking about a singular season. I'm talking about a program and it being what you proclaim it to be.
I got you.
That's all.
Like I said, we good. As long as you're not calling them Auburn if they don't make it after this particular year. That's it.
If you have 4 of the first 20 picks in the NFL draft and you don't make the playoff with that schedule, I'm sorry, man.
I mean, most of them are on one side of the ball, but I get your point. I get your point.
You don't have to win a ton of games.
But like I said, I do feel they'll make the playoffs. So,
as we talk through this, and that was a great point by the texter right there. Like, it's true, man. That's the only thing that I was driving at.